Brennan Marion to be Colorado's new offensive coordinator. I think if you made a list of things that you wanted out of this hire, Marion checks about pretty much all those boxes. I'll let you lead off here. What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, my initial thoughts were, this is a guy that wanted the job, back in 2021, and Carl drove in a different direction and hired Mike Sanford. But I'm happy for him, happy for the Buffs. I mean, this is a guy that, for a number of years is kind of an up and comer. He's moved around a lot. You look at his resume, there's a lot of moves, but and sometimes that's a red flag, but you look at it and I think almost every move he's made is a step up. And that's what a lot of assistant coaches do. It's a nomadic profession as those guys move up the ladder. And I'm not sure you can find a stop along his way where it's like, yeah, that was not a step up. That was a step back, or even a lateral move. I mean, would you agree? I mean, it looks like for me, every step that he's made has been moving up the ladder.
Yeah, he's 38 years old, and like you said, that trajectory has been, uh, pretty straightforward throughout his career. And he, I want to start with the creativity. I think that was something that Coach Prime kind of hinted at, right? He was not willing to push Pat Shermer under the bus. He was just not going to do that. But there was a point late in the season, Brian, where he was asked, like, "What are you looking for? What's not working on first down?" And he used the word creativity. And I don't know if there's an OC in college football that you look up creative OC, you might see Marion's picture there.
Yeah, and I wonder if at that time that's who he had in mind, or if things were in the works at that point in time. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy that has created his own offense, and how often do you see guys that have actually been innovative with their own offense, and it hasn't. He hasn't been an OC at the Power Four level. This offense hasn't really been there yet, but it's worked everywhere he's gone, and I don't know about you. It looks like I think you posted something on Twitter last night about you're going to stop watching some Sac State film. You can kind of go down a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
watching this offense and be like, "Wow, that's a pretty cool play. Wow, that worked really well. That was kind of fun, And so you just kind of watch clips of what he's done with his offense. You're like, yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, there's going to be, it's not going to be perfect the entire time. Am I locked up on your end?
Yeah,
Okay.
you are,
Now,
yeah,
now,
you're
now I
good
think I'm
now.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh darn internet. I gotta switch over to Xfinity, I think. TDS, I'm calling you out right now. You keep doing this to me. We are switching services here. Uh what was it talking about? Just yeah, like the innovative stuff that he's done is so fun. And yeah, you're gonna have times where it's not gonna work perfectly, but there's gonna be an identity to the Colorado Buffaloes offense going forward. And I think Colorado fans are desperate to have an offensive identity, and they're going to score a lot of points under this guy. And you think about what like a DeCalen Taylor could do in this offense. I mean, there's some guys in this program that are really going to thrive based on playing within Brennan Marion's system.
Yeah, no question. And I was doing some research, and just in the 6 years that he's been either an OC or a head coach, 28 all conference selections on his offenses, including three times he's had freshman of the year in his conference. His quarterbacks have been honored, his running backs, his receivers. Yeah, I mean, he's had offensive linemen. I think 10 of those 28 are offensive linemen. So, if you're an offensive lineman in this at Colorado right now, or looking at Colorado, you look at it and say, wow, he's had a lot of linemen that have been all conference as well. So it's not just one position group. And as a receivers coach, I mean, he coached Jordan Addison the year he won the Bolitnikoff at Pitt. He coached Xavier Worthy. So there's a lot of guys that have really thrived under his direction.
It's going to be interesting to see what they then do. Are they, I would imagine they'll most likely, I know that Marion's coached quarterbacks before. Sometimes you want your OC to do that. Or do you put him as a receivers coach and have bring in a new quarterbacks coach that can really, focus his attention on Julian Lewis and his development while and now obviously has to be a great marriage with Marian if you're going to do that. But we're guessing at this point, what would you think would be the best course of action as far as that goes?
Yeah, Marion's a receiver by trade. I mean, he was a phenomenal receiver at Tulsa, and actually Had a little cup of coffee in the NFL with the Dolphins before he got injured. So that's a position that he's played. That's a position he's coached. I would think you'd want him to be your receivers coach and maybe bring in a different quarterback coach, but we'll see on that. I mean, and when you're running your offense, I also like the OC to kind of be in line with that quarterback. And so,
Yeah.
I think that's one of those spots that just seems natural that your OC is also the quarterback coach, but he's a receiver by trade. So we'll see.
I just, and I'm not trying to kick Pat Shermer at this point, but like he just didn't have that history of being a quarterback tutor. And I
Yeah.
really felt like that room lacked having that mentorship this past season. I'm not saying it's the biggest issue that the Colorado Buffaloes had in 2025, but to me, it's on the list of things that could have been better for this program.
Yeah, I think it's near the top of the list. I mean, I think it's one of those things that if you're Coach Prime, and I don't necessarily fault him for this, but you could not worry about quarterback throughout his career because you had Shador and he
Right.
knew what he had with Shador. Shador was obviously a leader. The way Pat Shermer would talk about Shador last year, saying, "Hey, I listen a lot to him and Travis." Shador kind of ran that offense, and so you had a big time leader there, and to go from that to other people. Now all of a sudden you had to kind of worry about the quarterback room. And so I think he'll learn a lot from this, meaning Coach Prime will learn a lot from this last year experience and maybe get somebody in there that can mentor the quarterbacks a little bit more. They probably need it more than what they needed with Shador. So um, I think it's probably a good thing to have somebody in there that's a dedicated quarterback coach. But we'll see what they want to do. I mean, it's to me, it's up to Marian, I would guess, but maybe Coach Prime that maybe he'll dictate that.
So we talked about the creativity. We talked about the youth, him being 38, and having a lot of success on his resume. The
Yeah.
fact that I did a deep dive on him. I remember back when they were in the OC search in December of 21, and this dude had everybody fired up back then, and he's done a lot of great things since then. So he's more kind of established at this point, obviously being a head coach at the FCS level. Another big thing here, Brian, is this dude recruits. He loves to recruit. He wakes up, he wants to recruit. Before he
Yep.
goes to bed, and brushes his teeth, he wants to recruit. That's very rare for an offensive coordinator. And this program desperately needed that in it going forward.
Yeah, I mean, his class is number one in the FCS, the one he just signed on Wednesday, and there's already talk of blanking on the name of the 4-star receiver he signed. There's already talk of maybe, or not signed, but I think he's committed at Sac State. Maybe
Xavier
coming to
McDonald,
yeah,
Xavier
yeah,
McDonald from Morton, Mississippi. Yeah,
yeah,
he's gonna probably take a visit to Colorado. It's a dead period right now, but he can come out in January since he did not sign. And if he likes it, you can add a blue chipper there.
yeah. And look, the way these things happen, there's a chance that some of those top players that he had at Sac State come here, and I know the Buffs have been burned a little bit by bringing FCS guys in that don't always work. But if they're already familiar with the offense and Brennan Marion signs off on them, that's the one thing is Marion. He's been in Power Four enough. He knows what Power Four players look like, and he'll know if his guys at Sac State if they can play in the Big 12. I almost said Pac-12 in the Big 12. He'll know that, and so I would imagine we're going to see some Sac State guys that'll come here, and so it'll be interesting to see what he does. But it's awesome having a guy that loves recruiting, and Darren Shiverini was like that and
Mhm.
brought in you know I know it was kind of up and down a little bit with that offense at times, but you look at the talent Darren Shiverini brought in, between Laviska Chenault and a lot of those receivers, and when you have an OC or an assistant that loves to recruit, that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, you can say what you want about Chev's tenure as OC at Colorado, but the recruiting side of it, he was phenomenal. I mean, there
Yeah,
was one of those first classes that he had with McIntyre where he was the lead recruiter on like 70% of those guys. And I don't know that percentage might be a little bit high for what you'd want from your OC and a typical staff, but I think Marion's going to be involved with every offensive guy that comes on campus and gets recruited
yeah,
by Colorado. And so you're going to have a very hands-on recruiter. The college aspect of it too, whether that was a thing that we were worried about. Okay, if you go back to an offensive coordinator that has been calling plays in the NFL it's probably not going to work. And I've said
Yeah.
this many times. You don't have to go to the extreme of a Sean Lewis where you're up tempo all the time, but you have to have an offensive play caller at this level that has some experience calling plays at this level. And that's part of why I thought Pat Shermer was almost kind of set up to fail in this role because he was kind of learning on the fly in terms of what it's like to call plays at this level. And then when you miss on your quarterback that you bring in, it gets ugly pretty quick.
Yeah, no question. I love that aspect that this is a college guy. I think they really needed that, and I think it's good to have those NFL guys, and but I think they needed some more college experience on the staff, and so I love this hire in large part because of that. And like I said, he's coached and done some big things at the Power Four level, FCS level. He's been at every level, so the Group of Five level, he's had a lot of success. So he knows every level of college football and had a lot of success. And so I think if you're an offensive player, especially an offensive skill player, and you're looking at this guy being, hired at Colorado, you're like, wow, okay, that's an offense I might want to be a part of.
The question is, how well does Julian Lewis fit into this go-go offense that he created? And obviously, you're not bringing him in if you can't assimilate his play calling and offense to, the bright spot for Colorado late in this 2025 season.
Yeah, and initially I was thinking, you know, obviously there's a lot of option concepts of this offense. Like, is that really Julian Lewis? I actually watched a video. I'm sure you watched a lot of videos as well yesterday, but watching a video where he was talking, Marian was talking about his offense, and I wrote something down because he said specifically of the quarterback, he said what you need is one vertical threat, two running backs, and a quarterback that can distribute. He said the quarterback does not have to be a good runner. He just has to be a really good distributor. And so once he said that, I'm like, yeah, Julian Lewis can fit in here. I mean, that's Julian Lewis's strength is distributing the football, right? And
Totally.
so, I once I heard that, I'm like, okay, I think Lewis can fit in there. Now you look at Marion's offense, and it's obviously very run heavy, not a ton of passing yards. And this last year, Sac State number 3 in FCS in rushing, they were 111th in passing yards. You know, does Lewis look at that and say, I don't know if I want to play for that? But when you're a better quarterback, you can increase that number, right? I think ideally Marion would love to have the number 3 rushing offense and a top 50 passing offense.
Yeah. And I will say Julian Lewis was more mobile than I expected in the action
Yes.
that he saw.
Mhm.
I mean, you certainly don't. He's not Caden Salter, where even till the bitter end of the season, Caden Salter's still putting his shoulder into guys and trying to get that extra yard. Julian's going to be that guy you're telling, slide, get your butt down once you get that first down. But he was able to get to those sticks pretty easily with his legs in certain situations. That actually exceeded my expectations of him in that particular aspect of his game this season.
Yeah, I was surprised too because all through high school he was not a runner. Look at his stats on Max Preps. He's not that. The one thing with Lewis is, this quarterback's going to get hit a lot. Just doing the option, and there's going to be times that he's going to get hit after he makes the pitch or hands it off. So he's going to take probably some hits that Lewis normally is not used to. So we'll see if that's something that he can acclimate himself to. But look, quarterbacks have had success too and been all conference under Marion. So I think if I'm Lewis, I'm excited because there's totally a lot of options here and a lot of opportunity here. And they've got vertical threats, right? As long as they can keep Marian Miller, Joseph Williams, and some of the guys they have, they've got plenty of vertical threats.
I've been around covering Colorado. You have as well, long enough to know that you don't say home run higher because that's been a jinx a few times in the past with Colorado. And home run kind of infers that you've already had success. So Brennan Marion's going to have to come in and put this together. But in terms of like, if you told me 2, 3 days ago, like this was going to be the hire, I mean, you'd be doing backflips. I mean, this is
Yeah.
as good a hire. If you're a Colorado fan, you got to be super excited right now.
Well, again, going back 4 years ago, this is the guy Buff fans were super excited about.
Yeah.
This is the guy they wanted in 2000 in December of 2021, and he didn't come here. And so I think he wound up going to he left Pitt and wound up going to Texas and becoming the passing game coordinator there. So yeah, you're definitely excited. I think a lot of Buff fans were excited when Sean Lewis was named the OC a couple years ago,
Mhm.
and that just didn't mesh well.
That was
You're
more of a Shador and him kind of
yes,
just not being a great marriage for each
yeah,
other.
yeah, and I think that hopefully this is a better setup, QB and OC situation here. But clearly, I like what Deion Sanders is doing as far as making a big change and making, to me, this is sort of, I'll agree with you. Let's not go home run higher. It's a splash higher.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe even a cannonball.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, no, and this is not going to be the end of it. I know you've had Philip Dukes on your show. I saw a clip from him today. He was talking about how there's another splash defensive hire that's going to get announced. Didn't say whether that's going to be a defensive coordinator or a position coach, but it sounds like there's going to be a big hire there. I was on with the Morning Run and Neely earlier this week, and he asked me point blank, was there ever a time you were in one of those press conferences with Coach Prime late in the season and didn't feel that he was hinting that there's going to be major changes? And I said no, and he said they're coming, so there's going to be more. But this is a very good start from for a fan base that had a pretty rough go at it this fall.
Yeah, no question. And everything I've been told, and hinted at by Coach Prime, but been told by other people, this is the first of several changes. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening with this staff. And as far as that defensive hire, I don't think it's going to be a DC, because unless Robert Livingston leaves, he's going to be the defensive coordinator. I don't think he's going to get fired. But Philip Dukes was also saying it's going to bring a lot of energy to this defense, and we've heard the name Ray Lewis as a potential, addition here. So I don't know if anybody has more energy than Ray Lewis. Yeah, Warren Sapp might give him a run for his money, but I think Ray Lewis might have even more. So if you can bring a guy like that in here, I know there's probably some fans are like, okay, enough Hall of Famers, but but look, Ray Lewis is definitely going to get some energy going in a room if that's the hire.
Well, as Coach Prime said, he likes a blend. I think when he talked about meshing better with pro mindsets, a lot of that had to do with kind of the Sean Lewis stuff, if I'm
Yeah.
guessing. What did you think as far as that goes?
Yeah, I think you want to have that pro mindset, because that's kind of what he is trying to build here, is something he wants, a program that the kids want to come to so they can get to the NFL and be ready for the NFL. And so I think that that's what he's alluding to, is have that pro mindset, get yourself ready to be a pro. How often have we heard, whether, we're watching Well Off or whatever, or when he's talking to us, he tells these guys, look, if you want to be a pro, act like it. Stop doing what you're doing here. And so it's kind of that pro mindset of, and having guys around that, know how to get there. And, Coach Prime has said this too. He's like, it's hard to listen to somebody that hasn't been where you want to go. And so he wants that mindset there.
All right, Brennan Marion, Colorado's new offensive coordinator. It's going to be a busy month of December, it sounds like, with some of these coaching decisions, and then we jump into the portal, like we said on a video earlier this week. There really is no off season. Brian, appreciate you. Any final thoughts here before we sign off?
No, I'm excited. I think there's not a lot of times in all the years we've covered Colorado football where the offense has been really exciting to watch. And even the last 2 years, with Shador and Travis and those receivers were exciting to watch. There's still times the offense was hard to watch because Shador covered up a lot of things. Travis covered up a lot of things. It's been a long time since there's been a really exciting offense to watch, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Brian. We'll catch up again soon. Hopefully maybe we can get down to get some pasta J's sometime soon. I've been jonesing for some pasta J's.
Yeah, I think we need that. And maybe we'll wait a couple more hires down the road, and we can, wrap up everything.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you.